Rugby League 26 came out, which is what this whole podcast is about. Our first one. I thought, let's hit the ground running, talking about what we love, but a rugby league. We love the Warriors, and we love playing video games. So I want to know, we already know it's been a disastrous launch week.
A hot mess.
Yeah, a hot mess for sure. But for you, like, what are your early impressions of this game?
My early impressions of this game are mixed. I think this game has a lot of potential. I'm not a hater by any means. I don't know how to make video games, so I'm not about to tell someone who does how to make their game. Having said that, the game was released unfinished. But what I will say is I'm having fun. All right. And so the thing about a video game is if you're having fun, then by my eyes, they've done something right. There is a lot that needs to get, and we'll delve into this, no doubt. There's a lot that needs to be done with this game to make it better. But I'm having fun, and I have hope because Logs, I got the AFL game earlier this year, and they've made some hella improvements to that game, and that game is a lot of fun. So I have a lot of hope that Big Ant are going to get it right. Was the game ready for launch? No. But we live in a time, Logs, where a lot of games aren't ready for launch when they drop because developers know they can patch weekly and do hot fixes. So look, I think they were handcuffed by whatever the NRL and Super League wanted them to do from a release day point of view. But I trust Big Ant they have a dedicated team. They'll do right by us, and eventually, 3 or 4 months down the track, I think we'll have a game that is what we want it to be, or at least pretty close to what we want it to be.
Probably just in time for the grand final.
Yeah.
That's actually a big reason why I wanted to get you on to talk about Rugby League 26, Brad, is you have quite a bit of experience playing games by Big Ant Studios. AFL 23's launch, from my memory, was also quite bad, and they've learned a lot from those mistakes. And then from that jump from 23 to AFL 26, what have you noticed that's different?
Look, I played about 5 minutes of AFL 23 and figured it was unplayable. So look, I jumped on AFL, the latest one. When was that? Probably early doors this year, because I just wanted a game to play like that was, and I heard Rugby 25 wasn't great, which I, by the way, have actually downloaded, and it's not terrible. But yeah, I know I'm into my AFL of Mills. Guy Havalt, who's one of my hosts, has really got me into the AFL. He's a big AFL fan, and yeah, I just I love the Collingwood Magpies, and wanted to have a game, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a lot. That's a lot of fun, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, so it's a lot more polished than AFL 23. Most of the bugs are gone. The graphics are better. Yeah, so it's just a better version of AFL 23. It's probably what AFL 23 should have been. And that's why I have confidence that Big Ant will get Rugby League right in time.
The one thing that I can't shy away from here is, well, the launch and how bad it looks, not just for Big Ant, but for NRL and I guess Super League as well in general. Just read, like, I'll read just some of the headlines, but the first one that comes off is probably my favorite. No, Rugby League 26 is a broken and bad mess. That was the Illawarra Mercury, news.com.au. Outrage as NRL left a laughing stock. And the ABC had Origin star calls out bug-ridden launch of long-awaited NRL video game. And that was New South Wales star Kennedy Sherrington.
She did.
Being amongst the fans criticising, a half-finished game. And you mentioned that a lot of games do come out unfinished, half-baked. And yes, you can patch. But for me, the annoying thing here, Brad, is, yeah, there probably was pressure to release it at a certain time. And it would have been the same for AFL. They have that license, so there'll be the pressure to make use of it. But it ends up just looking bad for the developer. It ends up looking bad for the sport. And I know the NRL has this whole thing of trying to grow the game globally, especially in the USA at the moment, with going to Vegas every year. And while rugby league is a niche sport, video games sports video games are a great way for someone to be introduced to a sport. And I feel like this potentially just sort of does more harm than good.
It does. I agree with you. What Big Ant is the victim of are big studios like EA, right? So you've got Madden and you've got EAFC, which set the bar as far as sports game goes. I'd say, the Formula One game as well when it's done well is a very, very good sports simulation.
Mm.
Um, but that's not EA's fault. Like Big Ant still needs to step up to the plate, especially when they go out and they buy the cricket license, they buy the AFL license, they buy the rugby and NRL license, and then they do need to do better. I 100% agree. I just think like we live in an age where smaller studios probably look at everything and say this game is playable, so we'll release it and we'll fix it. Right? The problem with that, Logan, is every time, and you know this that you're a gamer, every time you fix something in a game, you break something else. Right? So I'm a WWE 2K player, and this cycle of the game has been a nightmare. Like because every time they drop a patch, they break something else in the game. So that is the problem that Big Ant have now is they're going to make some fixes. What are they going to break in the process? And then you have to start playing catch up. So look, yeah, would I have preferred for them maybe just to say, look, you know what, we're going to release this next year because there's a Rugby League World Cup next year. Yes, I think I probably would have. But
Mm.
at the same time, maybe the money that they've made in the last couple of weeks, because this has been the biggest game release they've ever had. They've
Yeah.
they've broken all of their records in terms of day one sales and all that sort of stuff across the board. Hopefully that money is going to be well spent into fixing the game and also developing other games for them down the line.
Now, because you mentioned EA, there's 2K as well have NBA 2K. They
Yeah,
have the PJ Tour 2K series that I play a lot of. As mentioned F1 as well, I play that too. And when that works really well, it's awesome to play. And you
mm,
have that whole immersion of being like you're playing the sport, you're in the sport, and that's the thing that I really enjoy about sports video games. As someone who kind of dropped the athletic part of my skill set back when I was like 18, 19. But there's the expectation, like, yeah, you Rugby League 26, you can't see in detail what the budget was for making it. It's less than EA.
a lot less.
It's less than 2K. But they've said that their budget for this one was like 4 times of their previous titles.
Yeah,
That alone, I think, brings a lot of expectation.
it does.
The last Rugby League game I played was Rugby League Live 2, which was back on the Xbox 360. And my memory of that's going back, what, 15 years? That
Yeah,
was a really fun game to play.
yeah.
I didn't have a lot of issue with it. I probably, maybe being older now, I might nitpick it a bit more. And, mid 20s Logan just enjoyed having fun and enjoyed it for what it was. But when you put out that budget and when the physical price is like 95 to 105 depending on where you buy it,
Yep.
the digital version is 105, and if you go for the pro team bundle so you can get credits to go with it, it was like 135.
Yeah.
So games on the whole are expensive and getting more and more expensive as we go, and while they don't have that budget that EA and 2K have,
The prices are the
the,
same.
the prices are the same.
Yeah.
And I think that sets an expectation from fans.
And the big problem that Big Ant have now is what's next. People that it's a trust game in the gaming industry, and you think it's been 8 years since a rugby league game was released. So there's probably 16, 17, 18, 20-year-old people buying this game that probably didn't play the game 8 years ago, right? And now their trust in NRL and Big Ant Studios, I beg your pardon, has diminished. And I know that's a big problem that they had with AFL 26 logs is that or 25 is that a lot of people that invested in AFL 23 didn't come back because that
Mm.
was an absolute nightmare. And that we talk about a nightmare, that was a bigger disaster than what this is. At least this game is actually playable. I mean, we'll probably talk about this later, but me and you had an online game and it was a lot of fun. And and all of the online games I've had, I've really enjoyed.
Mm.
That the AI's got some work to do, certainly. But yeah, I think look, I've seen a lot of people bash this game, and rightly so. But there are also a few people around Twitter and or X that have said, "I'm having fun. This game has a lot of work. It needs to be done. A lot of work. It really does. It's like it's 35% of the way there,
Mm.
but it's winning the fun factor for me. I'm trying to enjoy my gaming experience.
I will give Big Ant a lot of credit here in terms that while the CEO Ross Simmons, from what I've seen, has his reputation to like block people on Twitter. And by the way, I will always call it Twitter. It's never X.
He
In
he
my
loves he loves a Twitter fight.
He
Loves
does, and
yeah.
and he will block people that disagree with him, and that is probably not the way to go on a customer service standpoint. People who are shelling out $100 to play your game, maybe just take in some of that criticism and work with it. But they are trying to keep people updated as much as possible. Their Twitter account, every day since launch, they've been trying to keep players up to date with what's
Yep.
going on. They released a big patch a couple of days ago, and they put out the patch notes shortly after. And the big one for me was rules prevented injuries resetting tackle count.
Yeah,
And that
bro.
happened to me numerous times.
100%. And that random referee whistle that would happen on the first tackle of every set, like that kind
That's
of
gone.
yeah, that would happen after a kickoff. I played an online game, Lokes. This is funny. I played an online game with some rando, and it went to golden point, and the game just kept going and going and going and going, and we were just chatting to each other and just like, all right, mate, let's just call this a draw, and
Wow.
yeah, so it wouldn't stop, it just kept going. So yeah, like look, there's some other issues that are really frustrating, I think, around the menus, and like even setting up automatic interchanges is a real punish. And I think that the prompts on screen are too small for like skip passes. I know they improved the font for interchanges and in-game set plays and stuff like that. Look, there's a lot they've got to do, but I think I honestly, Logan, I firmly believe they have the bones
Mm.
for a really good game. I'd imagine we're probably not looking at another rugby league game. They normally have a 3 or 4 year cycle. Currently, big ant with cricket and AFL and what have you. So and rugby, so they've got time. And look, you talk to a lot of rugby 25 gamers that still play the game. The game is so much better now than it was a year and a half ago when it did the soft launch, right? So, and I picked up the game last week, and it's enjoyable as well. So look, I these guys really care about Australasian sports, and I think they'll do us well. We just need to be patient. You're right though. They've got our money, right? So they've got my $110 that I spent on this game last Thursday. So I expect them to do right by me, and if they don't, then they'll pay the consequences next time when I don't buy their game.
Yeah, that's a really good
They
point. And
they they brought me back with AFL, right? So
yeah,
I didn't buy the last cricket game because I don't think they've got cricket right. Like and I didn't buy Rugby 25, but AFL brought me back. I'm really enjoying that game. So they've got my trust back. They just need to keep earning that with this game and keep making it fun and improving the little things.
you mentioned a couple of times that you've had fun, and the key for me for a video game, whether it's a masterpiece, whether it's a 5 or 6 out of 10, although I imagine something like that, if that's the rating it's getting, it's probably not fun. But a game has to be fun to be enjoyable, and for you to want to invest your time into it.
Hmm.
And I was playing games every night since its launch last Thursday, and I kept thinking to myself, like, this really hit me a couple of nights ago. Am I having fun playing this game? And the answer was no. And I put the controller down, fired up my Switch, and played Animal Crossing. Completely different game. And I just sort of chilled and zoned out that way. But then I picked it up last night after the most recent patch, played a couple of games. And the one thing that I'm really trying to do here is learn the game.
There's a lot to learn.
There's a lot to learn. I'm terrible on defense, and that's the thing that I'm trying to get better at. But even offense, I was just not scoring. I was getting to the point where I was eliminating my mistakes on defending, but when it came to the attack, I was just doing hit ups and trying to do a few side steps. But beyond that, I wasn't really getting anywhere. And my biggest gripe is probably the kicking game.
It's
Uh, when
brutal.
when it comes down to that fifth tackle, like I remember Rugby League Live 2, I would always be able to shove the ball off to the halfback or to the 5'8" and get something done. I'll be able to do a bomb, do a kick to the sidelines, or anything to put pressure on. Maybe even a nice little grubber kick along the ground. All those options are there as well in Rugby League 26, but to me, it just feels like it's really clunky and hard to pull off. And maybe it's because we're new players and we're still trying to figure it out. But I just don't think it comes as instinctively as it should. I am starting to learn the game a bit better now, and I was losing every game.
Yeah.
Aside from that game that we played online where I won, and I don't actually think I should have, and we'll get to that later. Um, I was losing all my games as the Warriors. I'm doing a full season as the boys, and then I got to play the Brisbane Broncos. Got killed. I was like, man, I'm almost done with this. So I was like, no, I'll do one more. And I played against Newcastle at Apollo Project Stadium. And I'll say, one thing that I think they're doing really well here is the stadiums.
They look great.
Apollo Project Stadium looks great. Go Media looks great. Suncorp looks
Wembley,
great.
Vegas Stadium, mate. Wembley looks amazing, and I did a Super League game, Wigan versus Castleford. Had a lot of fun with that game. That was AI, and Vegas Stadium looks mint too. I agree, Logan. I think they've done a fantastic job, and that's one thing about Big Ant. They always nail stadiums in all their games. They do it in the cricket and the AFL. They are really good at stadiums, and I think they've nailed the stadia in these games for the most part. There's a few weird things like the track at Mount Smart and what have you, but
Yeah.
I think they've done a great job with the visuals from a stadium standpoint.
I was a little surprised at how good Allegiant Stadium looked. I thought maybe it was just going to be a generic, but having been there myself, I was like, no, this is Allegiant Stadium, and
It looked mint.
It looks awesome. But I did win that game against the Knights last night, and I was like, okay, maybe I am starting to have fun. And yes, winning is more fun than losing. So I think it's just about sticking it out. And like you say, like the updates are coming. They're already putting them out there. And I have noticed improvements. I think for me, the biggest part that needs to be fixed, aside from, the little gameplay tweaks, is the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, that they need see what the AFL game does really well, and that's my comparison, right? Is it's got quite a cool little pre-match, right, where the players run out of the tunnel, they run through their banners, the team lists are listed, so down the bottom, and there's a really good pre-match where the commentators talk about who are the key players in the game, who they think is going to win it. I enjoy that part. Has a coin toss. NRL doesn't have any of that. The players just run out, and next minute Cameron Smith says something real boring, and you're at the kickoff. And don't get me started on the kickoffs. The way that the players are positioned is really weird. Like, it doesn't look natural. I think they need to definitely improve that. But yeah, like they really need. And there's a really cool halftime presentation in AFL as well, where the players are in the dressing room. That is something they really need to improve. Like, I think I don't feel like the game is immersive, right? And I'm big about immersion. When I'm playing EAFC, I feel like, my wife walks into the lounge and she's like, "Oh, who's playing?" Because it looks like a real football game's on. When I'm playing Formula One, I feel like I'm driving Liam Lawson's car, right? So, like, I think Rugby League is really lacking immersion. I think the pre-match presentation needs a lot of work. By all accounts, from what I've heard, I think Ross Simons put it on Twitter that they are going to have team lists that they're still working on in terms of how that looks. So when the teams run out, the team will scroll along the bottom and stuff. But yeah, that's something they need to work on. I thought it'd be a lot better given what they've provided with AFL, which has really good pre-halftime and post-match presentations.
Yeah, I just want the presentation to make it seem like I'm watching the game on TV, but it's a video game, and we're not seeing any of that. It's just
Players run out. Yeah, that's it.
There's no life to it.
No,
it feels very, very soulless.
I already skip it. Like, I skip it.
I do too.
But with AFL, I watch the whole thing. Every time a team, like the AFL pre-match is really cool. I watch, but yeah, with this I skip it.
The one thing that I think they have nailed when it does come to the presentation, I know there's the videos out there where they sort of put the comparison and what players look like, but I think the scans are pretty decent. I think most of the players, I know we put out the screenshot of Luke Metcalf, and I think there was a couple of comments, people saying, "Oh, they did Luke Met dirty," but aside from his hair, I think it looks like Luke Metcalf.
Undercover Rocco Berry's the best scan in the game. He looks amazing. But Ali Katoa looks great from the Storm. I've played a couple of games with the Storm. Nathan Cleary sometimes looks good, sometimes looks weird. It's I think it might be the angle and his chin, right? So,
Yeah.
but
You
yeah,
got to get that shit on the right angle.
yeah, Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow looks amazing. But yeah, they've done the scans are good. The scans for the most part, I think we're sitting at about 90% good scan versus 10% they did them dirty.
One thing that obviously has been a big complaint is the positions of players, and for the most part, they have nailed the Warriors, except
Vaimunga and
Lika.
Haliasima are
Yeah,
fullbacks.
yeah. Like
Come
I don't.
on, guys.
Yeah,
And you know that affects the game. And that affect if you're playing at the Warriors and you've got Leka and Vaimunga on your bench and you have automatic interchange set up, they only sub for backs, they don't sub for forwards. So like
mm.
it'll sub out Chance and put Leka at fullback. So it's brutal. So they need to fix that stat because why have you got Leka Halisima and Dimitri Vaimunga as fullbacks? It makes no sense. There's a couple of other players as well. I don't think Lockie Galvin's, he's listed as a lock or something like that. And there's a couple of other really weird ones in there where a couple of backs are listed as forwards. So they need to fix that. And they also had an issue day one where halfbacks were showing up as number one. But I believe that's been fixed now with this latest patch.
Yeah, so I mean those kind of things can get patched. That's fine. Lika Halisima, from what I've seen so far, is a gun in the game. I always have him at second row. He's rated 85,
Yeah,
and he is just breaking lines. We get in the Lika break
he's a beast.
constantly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
as
it.
Sammy Hewitt said.
Yeah. But one thing, so when it comes to rugby league games, right? Like I said, Rugby League Live 2 was my most recent. So that's going back a while. Then before that was Stacey Jones Rugby League. Then my first one was ARL 96, which was iconic because you had Rabs doing the commentary.
Yeah.
Graphics are terrible. It's an isometric view, but back in the mid 90s, that shit was perfect.
Yeah.
What for you, like the dream sports game for rugby league? What does it look like to you?
Wow, that question's loaded, Lokes.
I know it
Um,
could be so many things
um, this is a
because, like you
small,
say, I think the bones are there.
yeah. This is a small thing, but I like immersion, so I played with a side camera. I feel like rugby and rugby league are set up to play from behind. I don't know how you play NHL, Lokes, but I play on the side camera for NHL as well because I like the
What?
broad. But I don't
Can't.
I don't get immersed in like the bird's eye view. I just can't do it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I know that a lot of
What about Madden? What about when you play Madden?
well, Madden I do because you can't play that game on the side. But with I feel like, but yeah, I look, I've tried to play from behind, but I just can't. So I'd like games like I'd like them to maybe develop the game so that you can play from the side a little bit more. But
Mm.
um, look, the perfect rugby league game for me is something that makes me feel like not that I'm in the game, but just that I'm watching the game on TV. And I get that most of the time with AFL. There are things in the AFL game that don't make sense, and most of the matches play through the middle, where in AFL a lot of stuff goes down the sides and the flanks. But I just want to like feel like I'm in the game or watching the game, and I don't think rugby league's got there yet. So I definitely want them to work on pre-match presentation, team lists, halftime stuff with coaches, and a sort of like a full-time. So I remember my NBA 2K back in the day had like Shaq and Chuck and all
Mm.
those guys doing like a halftime show. And it
Yes.
would go around the league and go, oh, and in LA, the Lakers lead the Clippers 40, and like, with a highlight of LeBron doing a dunk. That sort of stuff is what I want from my sports games, right? Like I want to feel like I'm watching the real thing. So there's that. And just something that's like fun to play like Jonah Lomu Rugby was. And Rugby '08, right? Rugby '08 and Jonah Lomu Rugby for me are the two benchmarks for rugby or rugby league games, right? Jonah was
Yeah.
so simple but yet effective. The graphics weren't great, but they were great at the time. But you look at it now, it's like watching pixelated dudes. It's like watching Pac-Man. Like but it's still a fun game to play. And
Yeah.
Rugby '08's the same. They nailed Rugby '08, and yeah, they just I guess like why not get fans to come in and like people that play your game, get them to consult on your game. What do you want from the game? Like sometimes developers might have tunnel vision. And I know a lot of Madden players, and I haven't played Madden for years, but I know a lot of Madden players feel that the developers just chuck out the same game every year with a new bell.
Yeah, yeah, and like I say, I mean, a longer development cycle here for a rugby league game. With the World Cup next year, you would think that's a tentpole event for this game, right? Like to bring in the international teams to do more there.
Well, they're in it,
Um,
so I don't know if you've seen this, but if you go to edit players, the Kangaroos and the Great Britain Lions are in the game. So I think there's probably odds on there is a chance that at least those two teams get put into the game at some point, which is great.
yeah,
So because you can,
but that's odd that you can pick them, but you don't have the Kiwis, you don't have
but you
Samoa,
also
Tonga.
can't, you also can't pick the teams to play.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Um, the thing that I really need them to fix is around the ruck, though. That is my biggest
Yeah.
complaint, and it still is. Even with the latest patch, that's still there. I think they put out a tweet last night that they have another one coming. There's still issues. I tried to
At
start a
the
pro
moment, it's
team.
like a ruck. It's like a rugby ruck where
Yeah.
like you're waiting for the ball to come back. It's not great.
Well, I'm waiting for the hooker to get in place, and
Yeah.
sometimes he is, off screen, and you're waiting for him to come back to play the ball. And
Yeah.
there is a time when you go to the wing, and instead of the 9 being there, the center comes in and plays the ball. Like that's great. If the hooker's not around, like if I am waiting 3 seconds to play this ball because the hooker isn't in position yet, what's going on? Like there should be another option there. So that's the thing that I really want them to fix. And then I think the kicking game, and we can go from there. The one thing that I had on my wish list for this, and I know this is stupid, it'll never happen, but the commentary is. I don't want to crap on Vossi because I love Vossi as a person, as a colleague, as a commentator. But when it comes to the video game, and this is what I was saying before, how it feels so lifeless. Vossi, you listen to him on Fox League, incredible. He brings the game to life. He
Yeah.
tells the story. It's awesome. It gets you hyped up. Where is that in the game?
Can I
It's
make
just
so I'm big on this as well. So here is my suggestion to game developers, and I know that there have been games that have done this in the past. You get your game to a point where you can present it to the commentators and you run a game on TV, right? On a big screen, and you've got Smithy and Vossi sitting in the commentary booth looking at a big screen like they're actually calling a game and get them
mm,
to call it that way. Because at the moment, they go into a booth, they have a piece of paper, and they read every name, like Halasema, Mikkel Klokstad, Tuivasa-Sheck, and then they record lines like "bust the tackle." So it's
yeah.
Halasema, "bust the tackle"
It's
on
so
the fourth.
robotic.
Like so, what you need to do is you need to seam those commentary. So just have them call a game, or and just record lines naturally. Yes, you can still record every player's name in the game, and then you can program that in to fit that player. But just
Mm,
have them call moments like at the moment, Cameron Smith's like, "Yes, Fossey, this game today is going to be great. I really think the Warriors have a chance to beat the Broncos here at Go Media Stadium." So
Great
that,
pass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
I just that's something Big Ant really needs to work on. I actually the British commentary's better.
It is.
Yeah, it's like they actually did put those guys in a studio.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree. Woodsy and Carney, they sound a lot better,
yeah,
even when they are commentating an NRL game, because they still say the voices, the
yeah.
names, the play names, and I
It's
noticed that
less
they say a
scripted.
lot of the same things. So
Yeah,
clearly, they gave the scripts to both sets of
the
commentators.
AFL games commentary
Mm.
really good. Like it doesn't sound scripted. It actually sounds natural. So
Is
whatever they did.
Waitley in it?
No, it's got Hudson who's one of Jared's colleagues, and the SEN breakfast host, Gary, one of the greatest, Gary Lyon, I think it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
On my and this back to what I think will never happen, but you've got the Aussie commentary pair of Vossi and Cameron Smith. You've got the UK pair of Woodsy and Carney. Can we get a New Zealand pair with Sammy
Sam
Hewitt and
Hewitt and
Blake
Blake
Ashford?
Ashford. Yeah,
That would be
100%.
incredible.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
I
Blakey,
would
you
just love that.
beast.
Yeah. Well, I'd love that so much. I just think the commentary is the thing that needs to be worked on the most that really help bring this to life, and
Mm.
that will help with this whole thing of immersion. But hey, we're only a week into the game's life.
Yeah,
It is we have decided that it's fun to play. Like
I
I
will
said,
judge them in 6 months, Logs. I'm giving
good
them a
idea.
6 month window. By
Okay.
December, maybe Christmas Day. this year, they need to produce me a game that is not near flawless, but all of the bugs have dissipated.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Let's revisit it in 6 months. And like you said, like one of my very first experiences of playing this game was playing online with you. And I want to finish the first episode of Full Noise off with this. Is while I won 14-12,
Mm.
beating you as the Penrith Panthers, and I was the Bratley Bulldogs or
Some
something.
some shithouse team. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
some championship team in the UK that I've honestly never had heard of before. And that all came down to the fact that you only have like 60 seconds once you're connected to select your team. I hadn't selected my team in time, and so that was the team I was given. I did win, but that second try, I'm pretty sure that I was short of the line.
Can I
And
also
I've
point
seen
out,
that
Logan?
awarded several times.
Can I also point out, Logan, that in my first set, I actually crossed the line and pushed the grubber button instead of the try scoring button, and
Yeah.
that was 4 points down the toilet. So, and
I've done the exact same
also
thing.
you did a very rugby union thing, and you took the two at one point during that game, midway through the second half. So but that's all right, mate. That's all right.
I took the two to make it 14-12. I was
Rematch,
playing smart.
rematch coming.